Anybody there?
We're here.
Okay.
Let me say again, good afternoon to each and every one of you. As a point of courtesy, I'd like to introduce you to the newest appointed ZBA board member, Mr. Huey Horn, H-O-R-N. He was just appointed last Thursday, and by him being appointed last Thursday, we reached out to him and expedited the transitional process so that he could be a part of this meeting. He gave me the impression that he was kind of excited about being a part of this meeting. So I don't know if he's muted or not, but he might want to tell you something about him before we proceed onward.
Well, I'm glad to be a part of this group. Glad to do my part to support the whole process in the city of Shreveport. And so I'm a lot of the time downtown at my building downtown at 504 Texas Street. Just maintaining that building, keeping the occupants happy. So, you know, if anybody has any questions, they can call me on my cell phone or reach out to me by email, and we'll go from there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for accepting the challenge to be a part of the Zoning Board of Appeals. You are among some incredible individuals, as I shared with you, and you'll get a chance to know them. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we meet remotely through teleconferences, and you don't get a chance to actually have the experience of coming to lunch where we furnish you with a hamburger before the meal, and then we go into the chambers downstairs. But welcome, and you'll see that this is quite a fun experience. See that the chair is here. And during this period, in every meeting, we present you with the planners and the cases that are coming up. And I'm going to ask Mr. Stephen Jean, the Deputy Director for informational purposes, Mr. Horn, to introduce the planners and the cases.
All right, thank you.
Well, Ms. Clark, I don't have my agenda in front of me. Could she put up the agenda on the screen?
We're working on that.
Okay, I'm trying out a new computer and I don't have it in front of me right now. Who's first, Emily?
This is assigned variance 20-5 BAC, and that should be presented by Ms. Alice Correa.
All right, thank you. I'll make sure for the meeting I have that in front of me.
Perfect. Okay, Alice.
Hey, good afternoon. As stated, I'm Alice Correa. I'm working the case for the assigned variance here. The applicant is K Developers in K5. They own several of the local former Save-A-Lots that are now converting to Piggly Wigglies. The location is 300 West 84th Street. What they're requesting is a variance to the maximum sign area for a wall sign. They're going to be replacing the Save-A-Lot sign with the new Piggly Wiggly wall sign. That consists of the Piggly Wiggly logo and some freestanding lettering. The maximum sign allowance for a wall sign is based on the store frontage. So their maximum based on their frontage would be 119 feet. If you calculate the sign and the lettering the way the UDC requests by using rectangular boxes around the letters, it totals to 142 square feet, which is between 19 and 20% larger than what is allowed. For comparison purposes, the Save-A-Lot sign that they're replacing is 189 or 86 square feet, which is 57% larger than what is allowed. So their sign is actually 31% smaller than what's existing, even though it still exceeds UDC standards. One thing that we did want to note is that, you know, it has been suggested by staff over the last year or so that the freestanding lettering should actually be calculated more in relation to the outline of the actual letters rather than just standard rectangular boxes. If we use that approach, this sign that they're proposing would actually be near or within UDC compliance as far as sign area. So one of the things that we look at for sign variances is we look for a demonstration of hardship and a determination of no negative impact, basically compatibility with the surrounding areas. There aren't very many wall signs in the surrounding area. There are a few. One of them is obviously larger than UDC regulations. Two of them appear to comply. And the third one, which is adjacent. Oh, there you go. I apologize. Can you go? Yeah, this is the sign that they propose. If you look on your screen, that's the sign that they propose. And then do we have the image of the two side by side? Okay, so that's the existing. The Piggly Wiggly sign is going to go where the Save-A-Lot sign is, and you can see the Family Dollar store sign next door. So it's about, their proposed sign is about comparable in size to that. It is a little larger. If for comparison purposes, that adjacent sign, their sign area is about 120 square feet. So they themselves are exceeding the UDC compliance for their store frontage by about the same amount, 18, 20% up in that range. So you can see that the proposed sign, as I stated, there's another much larger sign in the area, and there's two signs that appear to comply. So this one kind of falls right in the range of the existing wall signs in that area. So the other thing that we look at is hardship. In this situation, there's no like visual obstructions that would block the view of the sign. There's no geographic or topography issues associated with this sign because it's a sign on the wall. However, we do want to point out that the only street side sign that this business has is on the side property line that faces Linwood Avenue. So as you're coming up, I don't know if we have an image of that, you know. So it's about, yeah, in that area about where Ray Street is. So yeah, it's right there. So as you're coming up 84th Street, you really can't see that sign at all. You can see their competitor's Family Dollar sign, which is on 84th Street, but you can't see this business sign or any advertisement for this business until you see the wall sign on the building. So we felt that even though there's no topographical obstructions standard that we use for hardship, there is some disadvantage in that you can't see this business or know this business is there until you're right on top of it, whereas the adjacent competitor who has their street sign on 84th and has the same size wall sign on their building can be seen from farther away. So we felt that it would be an unfair competitive advantage to make these people reduce their sign to something smaller when their competitor next door has something equivalent to what they were looking at. And then as far as, you know, the compatibility issues, like I said, this is not a new sign that's going to be creating visual clutter. It's not something that projects out or is placed on the street. It is on the building. So even though it's changing out and it is new, it's not adding signs. It's not increasing visual clutter. It's actually reducing visual clutter because, as stated, it is 31% smaller than the existing. So based on that and the fact that it would likely be compliant if we used a more refined calculation for the lettering, we are recommending approval for this sign. Any questions?
I have a question, Alice.
Yes.
The pole sign on Linwood, it's remaining but being rebranded?
They have not addressed that. It was not part of this variance application, so it was not addressed. But it is.
Is it currently non-conforming?
Yes, it is a non-conforming sign. They would be allowed to change out the face of the sign so long as they don't change the structure of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Just to add something, and I may be incorrectly because I may have been dreaming, but I think I passed down Linwood Avenue, and memory serves me right, and the zoning administrator might be able to chop in, but the sign is, I think, is already up for the Piggly Wiggly.
It is already up. It is already up. I saw it.
Yeah, and it really does not have a negative impact. That's just sometimes in situations like we're experiencing with all of the teleconferencing, all of the remote operation, and COVID-19, we lose communication from time to time. But I noticed that, and generally we have pictures of the actual sites in these presentations. I don't know what happened this time, but hopefully in the future we will have pictures, updated pictures that show you exactly what's happening on these sites.
Okay. Are there any other questions on this one? The next case is presented by Jake Pellant. And I do want to say something about Jake, but while he's coming, is Jake just now passed his exam to become AICP certified, which is the American Institute of Certified Planners. That is no easy thing to do. So he actually is coming to us with credentials now. And we're pleased that he was able to obtain that. So his case is case number 20-6, that's BAC for Vertical One Wireless. Go ahead, Jake.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jake.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so this is case 26 BAC. It's a height and setback variance for a wireless tower. The case originally required a special use approval, which was approved on July 1st by the MPC board. Case number was 2061C. The applicant for this case is Vertical One Wireless, and they're working with Verizon. The property is located on the south side of the 900 block of Lincoln Drive, which is off the east side of North Market Street. So this property is zoned C1 for neighborhood commercial. There is C1 to the west of this property, and then there's a C1 SPUD, or small planned unit development, to the south of this property. For some reason, it's a different color on the map. It might just be a mapping error. All of these commercial properties are owned by the same property owner of this property, which is Shane Sears. The other properties surrounding this are zoned R17 for single family residential. That includes the properties on the opposite side of Lincoln Drive to the north. Emily, if you'd like to go to A2, which shows the elevations. So the first variance that the applicant is seeking is a height variance, A2. It'll be right up there. Okay, yeah, that's the elevation. The applicant is seeking a height variance per section 22.9E of the UDC. Wireless towers in non-industrial districts are limited to a height of 100 feet. However, providers can exceed this height requirement if they provide any kind of technical documents showing the need to exceed that height. The applicants did provide propagation maps that were analyzed by our consultants, JRS Consulting. And our correspondent there, Stacy Metz, did recommend approval, and that this tower cannot operate and function at lower heights. She'll go over that in further detail with you later on. The other variance, if you want to go to sheet A1, which is the site plan with the fall zone radius. So the applicant is leasing out a 45 by 45 square section of the parent parcel, which is located near the southwest corner of the property. It encroaches into a 10-foot utility easement into the property south of it. It meets all the setback requirements for a C1 zoning district. However, it doesn't meet all of the use standards in terms of setback requirements per section 22.9D. Towers have to be set back from the property by all property lines and inhabitable buildings by at least 110% of the total fall zone radius. So the fall zone radius in this case is 80 feet. The tower is actually designed to collapse halfway down. The tower is a total of 160 feet, not including the lightning rod that they're providing, which is a 10-foot high lightning rod. But it's designed to collapse halfway down, so it will collapse at 80 feet. 110% of 80 feet is 88 feet, so it has to clear 88 feet in total, a radius of that much. So this fall zone radius encroaches into the property to the south and west of it, which are owned by the applicant. This isn't an issue right now, but later on it could be an issue if different parties purchase these properties, then it creates some legal issues with regard to the tower fall zone being on other people's properties. There are different options to get around this. The property owner could move the lease area to the center of the parent parcel, since it is 200 feet by 186 feet. However, that will greatly reduce the amount of developable space on this property. Or the property owner could simply replat the property and thus moving the property lines over and clearing them from the fall zone. That would be a more feasible solution. So for that reason, we're recommending denial of the setback variance, since the applicant can replat them, thus getting rid of the property lines, and that way the only people who will be affected by the fall zone are the people who own the tower. And if you want to go to that picture with the red circle on it, shows the side view of the fall zone. It just shows that it's just there to show that the building, it's on a smaller sheet than the rest of them. But the tower cleared, there's a million slides here, I apologize for that. But the tower does clear right there. The tower does clear the nearest building, which is owned by the applicant. The fall zone radius, it's about approximately 8 feet away from the building. This isn't taking into account the 10-foot tall lightning rod. The applicant can answer any questions regarding that. He'll further explain how the collapsing works. But it does clear the nearest building. So for that reason, they don't need a variance in that regard, but they do need one for the setback. So in conclusion, we are recommending denial of that setback variance and approval of the height variance.
Did we include the letter from the structural engineer as a part of the packet?
The letter from the structural engineer is included in this packet, yes. I labeled it as important in all capital letters, so it should be in there. Okay. These are the propagation maps. Will be further explained.
So that letter from the engineer explains how that collapses is basically, it's designed to have its weakest point at the center. Most of the failure would probably come from lateral forces, which is wind. So if wind hits the tower, the way it's designed is the weakest point would be at the center, it would collapse. Hopefully, we've requested to have the engineer available at the meeting. We don't know at this point for sure whether he's going to be there or not, but just wanted to point that to your attention.
I have a question.
And that's all I have, Mr. Clark.
I have a question. Jake?
Yes.
So do we have any real world examples of these towers actually breaking and how they've reacted?
That would be something that the applicant's intended to provide. This is what he's claiming, so it's based off of the engineering letter, but if you want to go through
right. Also, could you address the assertion in the opposition letter about the calculation for the fall radius being erroneous?
That's something, once again, to be addressed by the applicant. I asked him to.
Now, this is from the opposition.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, but they're asserting something different from what your calculations are.
These are my calculations.
If I could interject, Mr. Berry.
Yes, sir.
This is why we have consistently reached out to the applicant to ask the structural engineer to be on this call today because of the concerns that the citizens in that area have.
Okay.
We're going to be very curious to see if that happens. I've shared with him that the board may be inclined to not move forward on this application based on the inability to give the technical knowledge that's necessary to share with the citizens that are very fearful and very apprehensive about the tower to begin with. But right. The thought that it may fall on their houses is more than they should have to contend with.
Sure.
We've asked them to provide expert knowledge on exactly what happens if in the event one of these towers fall, and if they don't do that, we will be suggesting to you not to move forward on this application.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions on this case? Okay, if not, our next presenter is Ben Moeller, and he'll be presenting case number 20-7 BAC, which is with the Caddo Parish School Board at 2955 Bert Coons Industrial Loop. Take it away,
Hi,
Ben.
everybody. Sorry. Okay. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Ben Moeller. This is case 20-7 BAC, which is at 2955 Bert Coons Industrial Loop. This is Kevin Bryant, architect, for the applicant, and it's the Summer Grove Elementary School for a sign variance. The applicant is requesting a variance to sign height for the monument sign. Currently, if you look at what's on screen right now, that's the currently existing sign for the area. They are requesting a variance of 1 foot 11 inches, then the maximum 6 foot for the area. Mainly, the biggest reason why they're asking for this variance, if you do look at the sign right there, yes, it is on an incline on the hill there. The way that the elevation works, they are asking for the variance because with the elevation, it would be meeting the 6 foot maximum on that hill if there was not an incline there to begin with. So it would be meeting it if, or it would be in compliance if it did not have the hill there currently. Let's see here. The area, there are no nearby cases or relevant cases for the sign in general. But the biggest reason why they are asking for this variance is oncoming traffic does have trouble seeing the existing sign there due to that incline. They are proposing to remove the currently existing sign and replacing it with the monument sign that would hopefully allow for traffic to flow a little better and be able to see the sign. I apologize, we can't really go up and down the street on Google Maps. It kind of just stops right there, or being able to visually see it easy. Because of this, we are recommending approval for the variance. We feel that while it would be still a non-conforming sign, it would be a better choice for the area. Pole signs in our 1-7 district, which is where this is located, I apologize for not stating that earlier, do not allow pole signs currently with the 2017 UDC. And so it would be replacing it with a sign that is more in line with the kind of the character for the area and as per the regulations of the UDC. And I am happy to answer any questions anyone might have regarding this.
If there's no questions, that's Mr. Clark, that's the end of our presentation by planners.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jean. As in previous meetings, we will take a 30-minute break. This will possibly be the last teleconference meeting or virtual meeting we will have.
Yay!
I think that we are all a little done with having virtual meetings. And we look forward to possibly the chambers downstairs. We believe to be safe. They have done a lot of things in order to make them better suited for the situations that we face them now. So hopefully in the month of August, we will be able to go downstairs and meet and greet again after such a long process of being apart from each other. But if you will just stay in tune for 30 more minutes, the meeting will start promptly at 1 o'clock.
Thank you.
Mr. Allen.
Yes, ma'am.
I apologize for my tardiness. I was trying to, well, I'll get back to it later. I'll talk to you about it later.
No problem.
Okay. See y'all in 30 minutes.
Turn in 30 minutes. Mr.
All right, everybody.
Yes,
sir. All right, thanks, sir. This meeting is now called to order. Ms. Pearson, are you there?
She's joining as we speak.
Congratulations, Mrs. Dunn.
Thank you.
Okay, is she on yet?
She's on.
Okay, Ms. Pearson, would you give us our invocation, please?
Could we get the roll call first, Mr. Chair?
I'm sorry, yes, we sure can.
By Ms. Daniel.
Alan Berry.
Present.
Cynthia Pearson.
Present.
Fred Moss.
Present.
Marshall Farrell.
Present.
Brittany Dunn.
Present.
Huey Horn.
Present.
And Derwin Hidgetts.
Present.
We have 7 present.
You do have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Pearson?
Yes, sir.
Invocation, please.
Yes, sir. Would you please bow with me, Lord, how wonderfully blessed and thankful we are for these moments we have together, Lord. I pray that you would clear our hearts and minds, that we make the best decisions concerning this hearing. Bless now the parish of Caddo and the city of Shreveport as we go forward to make these decisions. Bless our mayor and all our public officials and all those who assembled on this call. We love you, Lord, and we adore you. We pray this prayer in the name of Jesus, our Christ. Amen.
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 If you would, let us stand for a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Welcome to the regular scheduled public meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Shreveport-Caddo Parish Metropolitan Planning Commission. In accordance with the proclamation number JBE 2020-84 dated June 25th, 2020 by Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards, which in part authorizes a local political subdivision to hold public meetings via teleconference or video conference during this state of emergency. This meeting is being held in video conference format. For public hearing agenda items, all the cases on the agenda will be presented by staff, followed by the applicant statements or a reading of the applicant's written comments and questions by ZBA board members. Any members of the public in support or opposition may give their statements, or a reading of the public's written public comments that are received prior to the meeting will be read into the record as each case is called. Each public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. Once the time has expired, the reading of the public comment will discontinue or the participant will be muted. The applicant may rebut the public comments, or a written rebuttal statement from the applicant will be read into the record if received. After hearing comments on each case, the board will then immediately deliberate and vote on that case before moving on to the next case on our agenda. All voting will be conducted by roll call to ensure accurate recordation of the vote on each case. In circumstances where additional information may need to be provided by the applicant in order for the board to make a decision, the board may decide to defer and continue the case to the next regular scheduled public hearing. Any member of the public may request a copy of the board's decisions on a particular case by contacting our office at 318-673-6480 after 1 p.m. tomorrow, or by accessing our website at shreveportcattlempc.com. All ZBA board decisions on cases within the city limits of Shreveport are subject to appeal to district court. All ZBA decisions on parish cases are subject to appeal to the parish commission. Please note that it is your responsibility to contact either district court or the parish administrator's office about their procedures as related to the matter which you are concerned with. Copies of this document and the phone numbers to contact the governing bodies are available at the MPC website, shreveportcattlempc.com. The Zoning Board of Appeals values your participation and appreciates your compliance with these guidelines. Has anyone had a chance to look at the minutes from the May 20th meeting?
Yes, sir.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Berry, second by Mr. Pearson.
Mrs. Pearson.
I thought I said Ms. Pearson, I'm sorry.
Alan Berry,
Yes.
Ms. Pearson,
Yes.
Fred Moss, Fred Moss,
Yes.
Marshall Farrell,
Yes.
Brittany Dunn,
Yes.
Huey Horn,
Yes.
Dorwin Hendricks.
Yes.
Have 7 yes, 0 no's.
Okay, motion carries. All right, our first case is case number 20-5-BAC, K Developers LLC, K5 Incorporated.
Mr. Chair, this case will be presented to the board by Ms. Alice Correa.
All right, thank you, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. As stated, the applicant is K Developers, K5. They are also the owner of the property. The location is 300 West 84th Street. If we can go to the map real quick, so we can see the location. Okay, so it's on the corner of West 84th Street and Linwood Avenue. The applicant is requesting a variance to the maximum sign area. They want to replace the former Save-A-Lot wall sign with a new Piggly Wiggly wall sign. If we go to the images of the proposed sign. Thank you. So per the UDC article, the wall area sign, or the sign area for a wall sign is based on the frontage of the building. Based on the storefront here, they are allowed a wall sign of 119 square feet. Their proposed sign, which consists of the logo and freestanding lettering as measured by the UDC box calculation is what we call it. Their sign measures 142 square feet, which is approximately 20% larger than what the UDC allows. For comparison purposes, they are replacing the Save-A-Lot sign. The Save-A-Lot sign that was there previously is 187 square feet, which is 57% larger than what the UDC currently allows. I don't know if we have an image of that one as well. We can stay there. So we do want to note that the UDC calculation method puts rectangular boxes around freestanding lettering. However, if we did a more accurate, more refined approach where it actually used the outline of the letters, which is something that the staff has been looking at and suggests as a refinement for this code, that area would be reduced by roughly 20%. So the proposed sign would be at or near compliance with the UDC standards if we use the more refined calculation that's being considered. And approval of variance requires a demonstration of hardship and also a determination of compatibility with the surrounding areas and no negative impact. So the proposed sign is not in addition to the environment. So therefore it's not adding any visual clutter as a wall sign. It does not create any visual obstructions either. And as noted before, it is smaller than the Save-A-Lot sign that currently is there. It's actually reduces that sign area by 31%. It's 31% smaller. So by comparison standards, there are just a few wall signs in that area. One of them, it clearly exceeds the UDC standard. Two of them appear to be right at about the UDC standard, and the adjacent one, or the Family Dollar next door, which you see in the image, they are actually exceed their UDC allowance by 20% thereabouts, so about the same amount as the proposed sign. But you can see that it would be similar in size to what is being proposed. So as such, the proposed sign is compatible with the area and does not add to any visual clutter or add to any excessive signage. Addressing the hardship, there really aren't any unique characteristics of the property as far as topography and geography or visual obstructions such as trees or buildings that are in the way that would prevent anyone from seeing this sign. However, we do want to note that the only street side sign advertisement for this business is on the side property line on Linwood Avenue. You can see it in the distance there. And you'll see their competitor sign is just off to the left of that image, I believe. Yeah, it is actually on West 84th Street. So as you're coming up 84th Street, you really can't see any identification for this business until you see the sign on the building, whereas their competitor has the sign right on West 84th Street. So even though there isn't any visual obstructions, we felt that there would be an economic disadvantage if we allowed the adjacent tenant to have a larger than standard sign, whereas these people would be restricted to a smaller sign that would meet the standards. So we consider that to be a hardship, to have that unfair advantage for a competitor. So based on that, and then more importantly, based on the size of the proposed sign being 31% smaller than the existing sign, therefore bringing the location more into compliance than it already is, the staff was recommending approval for this sign variance. Are there any questions?
No. Okay. Yes, sir.
My notes indicate that the applicant is on the call and might want to make a comment.
Okay, is there anyone speaking for case number 20-5-BAC? Is the applicant there for the case? K Developers, K5?
Sir, they indicated they would be available if there were any questions, but they didn't have a prepared statement to make.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello?
Yep, Mr. Bennett is on the air, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead,
I had
sir.
a little difficulty connecting. Now, we were just appreciative of the staff work and of the Planning and Zoning Commission on working on this. And we were kind of forced into this change from Save-A-Lot to Piggly Wiggly Cost Plus due to economic problems with Save-A-Lot. And we feel like we're adding to the community there by offering a store with a tremendous advantage of having more object or more SKUs to pick from, more merchandise to pick from, and what we feel is higher quality merchandise for a lower price. And we appreciate your help. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, is there anyone else speaking for case number 20-5-BAC? Okay, is there anyone speaking against case number 20-5-BAC? Were there any letters in opposition from the staff guide?
There were no letters submitted in this case, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, what do I hear?
I make a motion to approve the sign variance of 142 square feet. That is 20% above what the UDC code allows.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Dunn, second by Mr. Moss. Let's vote.
Alan Berry,
Yes.
Cynthia Pearson,
Yes.
Fred Moss,
Yes.
Marshall Farrell,
Yes.
Brittany Dunn,
Yes.
Huey Horn,
Yes.
Darren Hendricks.
Yes.
We have 7 yes, 0 no's.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Next case, case number 20-6-BAC, Vertical One Wireless.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this case will be presented by planner Jake Palat.
All right, thank you, sir.
Hello. If you'd like to go to the zoning map, please. This is a variance for height and setback for a new wireless tower. The applicant, who is Vertical One Wireless, who's working in conjunction with Verizon, they received a special use permit approval earlier this month on July 1st. The case number was 2061C. This property is located on the south side of the 900 block of Lincoln Drive, which is off the east side of North Market Street. The property is zoned C1 for neighborhood commercial. It's adjoined by C1 to the west, which is also owned by the property owner of the parcel in question, whom is S&W Land Management, LLC. The property to the south of it is also owned by the same owner. It is zoned C1 SPUD, so it's a small planning unit development with the commercial zoning district. And it's located, and all the other properties surrounding it are zoned R17 for single family residential, including those across Lincoln Drive to the north. If you'd like to go to the sheet A2, which is the elevation of the property. So one variance that the applicant is seeking is a variance to the height restrictions. Section 22.9E of the UDC states that towers in non-industrial districts are limited to a maximum height of 100 feet unless the applicant can provide documentation showing that at lower heights the tower cannot function. This tower will be 160 feet tall with a 10-foot tall lightning rod, so 100 total of 170 feet. They did provide propagation maps to illustrate the coverage at different heights. Our consultant, Stacy Metz with JRS Consulting, will go further into detail about the different frequencies and why this tower requires the height variance. They are our consultants. They're recommending approval of the height variance, and thus we are as well. Regarding the setback variance, if you'd like to go to sheet A1, which shows the site plan with the fall zone radius. So the lease area that we're looking at is 45 feet by 45 feet in area. It's located near the southwest corner of the site. It approaches into a 10-foot utility easement that is located on the property of the south of it. Once again, that property is owned by the current property owner. This tower meets the setback requirements for the C1 zoning district. The only requirement is that it has to be at least 15 feet away from a residential district, but that's only just the requirement for the zoning district. It does not meet all the requirements for cellular towers. Per section 22.9D, towers have to be set back from all property lines in inhabitable buildings by at least 110% of the fall zone radius. This tower is designed to collapse at, what are you doing? This tower is designed to collapse at 80 feet. Our applicant will go into further detail about the mechanics behind that, but it's designed to collapse at 80 feet. So the fall zone is 80 feet. 110% of that is 88 feet. So it has to clear the nearest property lines and nearest buildings by 88 feet. It does not do that. Now, noted the properties around it are owned by the same property owner. However, in the future, if he was to sell these properties to different parties, there could be legal issues that come up, and people who do not benefit from the tower will be affected by the tower collapsing. For that reason, we are recommending denial of the setback variance. However, there are ways around it. One option for the applicant is they could move the tower to the center of the property, since it is 200 feet by 186 feet. However, this will greatly reduce the amount of space that the property owner has to develop. The other alternative is they can replat the property in such a way that the fall zone clears all of the property lines. That one is a more feasible solution for them, as it won't handicap them in their ability to use all of the property. In addition to that, the tower also clears the building located on this map. If you want to go down to that drawing that shows the red circle, Emily, it will show that the building does clear the tower fall zone radius. Clears it about approximately 8 feet. This isn't taking into account the 10-foot tall lightning rods, but it does clear that building. And then the applicant and Stacy Metz should be here to address the technical concerns regarding this tower. Thus, we are recommending approval of the tower height and denial of the setback variance.
All right, thank you, Mr. Paulette. Okay, is the applicant here to make a comment?
I am present. Lewis Martin, Vertical One Wireless.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, for the two variances that we're requesting, the height when we showed the propagation maps and we explained the need for the tower, I want to just make this as short as possible to respect everyone's time. The location that was selected was previously viewed by Verizon 5 years ago. The basically western portion of North Market, we have a search room and we're limited by where we can potentially place this tower. This is one of the few commercial lots within that ring that Verizon Wireless could use. This particular one was selected because owner S&W Land Management owns all 4 of those parcels that are adjacent to each other. So they're the best parcel in the ring. We looked for secondary locations. We could not find any. Each of them were worse. For the variant, we knew going into this, we were going to need these 2 variances. Every other parcel we had was smaller. So the one being recommended by the staff report saying that they recommend the 160 feet, they recognize the propagation maps at 100 feet would not provide adequate wireless coverage. So we appreciate that. Moving forward to the second one, can you go back to that A1 map, please, Jake, potentially? That's on the screen now. So in effect, what we've done is there's 4 parcels that are kind of in quote unquote somewhat rectangles. You can see this is the northeast parcel. What we did is we placed this as far as we could in the southwest corner, center of all 4 parcels. We didn't try to put it up against the one residential parcel adjacent on the east side. We didn't do that. We kept it as far away from Lincoln Drive as we could on this parcel. To the size of this parcel, effectively, there's no place you can really put the tower that it would meet the setbacks unless we put it in the very dead center, which would preclude the property owner from ever doing any development on this parcel, and which, you know, let's compare the tax base of an empty parcel versus a parcel that's been developed and has buildings on it and that can be assessed. So we try to, I've been doing this for 25, 26 years. Shane and I think Shane may be on this call. He may want to speak to this in a minute. So we put this as far as we could to the southwest corner. We met that. Not only did we do that, I wanted to let the ZBA know that the tower design, we didn't do a standard tower design on this. I explained this to Jake, and I think Jake alluded to this earlier. We designed the tower and we looked at it, and I said, you know what, due to the fall radius, if that's a concern, we have an engineer's letter that clearly states that the tower would be designed to collapse upon itself, and he showed that picture earlier. So it would swing, roughly back down upon itself, kind of like a straw collapsing. If you snap the straw in half, that's what would happen.
3 minutes up, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, is there anyone else speaking for case number 20-6-BAC?
Yes, sir. My name's Shane Sears. I'm the property owner.
Okay, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Yes, sir. Speaking in support of this project, with regards to the setback and so forth, it would not be beneficial to us, from a business standpoint, to try to replot that all into one parcel. We would like to keep it in separate parcels. We're aware of the fallout. It does not land or encroach on any of our buildings, and it does cross the property lines, but with no possibility of striking any of the structures. And to move it to the middle of that same plot would, as Lewis mentioned, would render that plot basically useless for future development for us.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Jane, do you want to adjacent parcel potentially to the east of that?
Mr. Chair, he's not allowed to speak again.
Right, you're speaking out of turn right now, sir. Is there anyone else speaking for case number 20-6-BAC?
I'm waiting on a representation from the consulting firm of JRS.
Okay.
I think Stacey's on the call.
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, I'm on the call.
Okay,
this is
go ahead,
Stacey
ma'am.
Motz.
Go ahead,
Okay.
you have 3 minutes.
Okay, so we took a look at this tower, and as they noted, we requested propagation maps. We wanted to see them at the variable heights between 100 and 160. They provided us with maps at 100 feet, 130, and 160 feet. The maps did indicate that in order to provide the 5G wireless upgrade, that the additional height was needed. I do believe it could be noted that potentially the tower height, if a setback is the issue, could be reduced by 10 feet, ranging at about 150 feet. I think that that would meet in the middle for what everyone is requesting here. The fall zone, I did take a second look at that, and the tower does fall within the radius of the property owned. It does fall across property lines. However, we did require the applicant to acknowledge that it does cross multiple lines, and they are aware that that might affect future sales of the property as well as future development for the fall zone area. I'll be happy to answer any specific questions you guys may have.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Chair, but I can wait until after we hear from the opposition, if you would prefer.
Okay, no, go ahead, sir.
So I'm confused about the calculation for the fall radius. Based on that drawing, the red line indicating from the 80 feet looks like it's measured from the ground, and there is not only the antenna sticking above the red line indicating the fall area, but also part of the antenna array. It seems to me that you've got equipment that will fall outside of that radius that you have drawn. Why is that red circle, I think they're getting to it now, that red circle seems to me should extend, if that's the break point, if the black horizontal line is the break point, it seems to me like you're missing about 12 to 14 feet above that red line at the top. That will be a danger outside of that red fall radius.
Did I address this?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Okay, if you look on the map there, that's to the height of the structure. And you can see where it kind of says top of tower. The 80 feet is the fall radius for the tower. The code says 110%. So if you look to the left of the red circle with the arrows, if it swung that way, and in the event there even was a catastrophic event, okay, but that 88 feet, you can gauge what 8 feet is right there. So that's where, if I drew the circle, I didn't want to do concentric circles. So 88 feet to the left of the circle, that's what that is. If you look at the top of the tower, that antenna sticking maybe, we calculated 2 feet above the tower, something like that, 2 or 3 feet. So there's no, there's no ingenuineness or deception trying to be employed here. We're just trying to show exactly at the tower height what the tower radius was. That's 80 feet. And this is illustrating what 88 feet would be. And so the tower, if it collapses to that midpoint, which it's designed to do, and again, we upgraded this tower so that it's not a standard tower. This one is designed to collapse to the midpoint. It would swing down cross those blue arrows and would come back down. It would fold upon itself is the technical term. Either way.
So my next question following that up is there any real world examples of one of these collapsing as designed, or is it entirely at this point theoretical that it will do what you say it will do?
It's a professional engineer from the state of Louisiana that is certified that this is what would happen. This is not a standard tower. This is this is an upper echelon tower. It is designed to do that.
Right. I know
I'm not aware of any real world examples where a tower has collapsed in this fashion, because there hasn't been any tower collapses. But if there were one, I wish I could show it to you, but I don't have that knowledge of any. I've done research on it. I haven't seen any that have done that. But the engineer, don't take my word for it. Don't take Verizon's word for it. Take the third party professional engineer that's stamped and certified by the state of Louisiana.
I understand the credentials. All I'm saying is,
yes, sir,
cars are designed with crash zones, but they do tests on those vehicles to ensure that they work. I'm just curious if any tower has been put through. I mean, everything's theoretical until you see it happen. And I'm just, this is a large concern that's been stated by the neighboring community. And I'm just curious, what's behind this besides math?
And yeah, when you say the theoretical, I'll follow it back up with this, is the quote unquote design breakpoint is the midpoint of the tower. It's not the base, it's not the top, it's the midpoint. And the closest residential structure is 285 feet away.
Okay.
And so
it's not designed to break and fall off, it's designed to break and act like a hinge. Is that accurate to say?
Yes, sir, Mr. Berry. That is a word for word of what I gave at the Planning Commission. That is correct.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And Mr. Chair,
yes, sir.
It needs to be noted that we did ask that a structure engineer would be here today to explain this in detail to the board. Evidently, that engineer is not here, so we don't have the, as we have the expert information from the consultant concerning the 5G and 4G comparison. We don't have that information, but we did extend to the applicant to ask that structure engineer to be here to address the board as the board addresses the concerns of the citizens of the North Highland area.
Okay. My question, Mr. Director, right now is, would the information coming from that consultant change any of your decisions that you've come up with so far?
Yes, about our recommendation?
Yes.
It would not change any of the recommendations that we made. It would just possibly relax some of the citizens that will be directly impacted. We all will leave and go other places, but citizens that live in the area that are very concerned about the collapsing and falling of the tower, it may, and that's your decision, that's why we have the board, that may weigh on your determination on whether or not to approve these variances.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, is anyone else speaking for case number 20-6-BAC? Do we have any letters or speaking for?
We do have a letter from the Greater Shreveport Chamber of Commerce in support of this application. I don't know if anybody else has it. I was not preparing to read it. You should have that before you. But if you direct me, I will read it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, do the other, right, do all board members have a copy of that letter?
I do.
Read it?
Yes.
Okay, has anyone not had an opportunity to look at it? Okay, all right, so that's the only letter we have. So is there anyone speaking against case number 20-6-BAC? Okay, do we have a letter to that effect also, don't we, Mr. Director?
That is correct, and I know that we have a citizen on the call. but never joined that wanted to speak in opposition to this application, but you have his letter before you now.
Okay, so he hasn't joined as of yet, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
You had another letter from a person signing only Randy that was also sent to you this morning via email. A letter of opposition.
Okay. Okay. And this one letter said it had 100% opposition from the neighbors that lived in the area. Is that correct?
That's what the letter said, and that's why we were reaching out desperately to the applicant to bring in a structure engineer to relieve some of the pressure, because we reached out to the consultant to address all of the concerns that the citizens have that they may just be uncomfortable with, that the engineer can explain to us and to them in a light that they would be able to accept, but that did not happen.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, what do any board member have any comment or questions at all? Okay, what do I hear?
Well, I have a question.
Oh.
I mean, I just think there are a lot of issues raised in this letter that are a concern. I'm sorry that there's no one here to voice some of these in person. I realize that the nearest residential is about 200 feet away. I am interested in the assertion that they make in the letter about the calculation for the fall zone, which is kind of what I raised with where that was drawn. But given that it's theoretically not going to lay over like a tree being felled, I think that alleviates some of that specificity for that antenna being allowed for. So I guess that's all I have to say right now.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
If there's any uncomfortableness on behalf of the board for additional questions to be answered, you do have the ability to defer and continue this application.
Right, that would be my suggestion, because, you know, I can't, you know, make a good judgment right now because there are conflicting numbers on what's actually going on. So if there'd be someone on the board that may want to make a motion to continue this, I'd be so inclined to do that.
I would like to make a motion to continue it because basically we gave the engineer a chance to present today. He didn't show, and a lot of questions that we need to ask him, basically. So that's why I would like to continue.
Okay.
I'll second
the motion.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, is that for discussion or for the continuance of?
I will second the motion, but I would like to have another question.
Okay, go ahead with your question, Mr. Berry.
Mr. Martin, this is a question for you, I suppose. Looking at the map, the parcel of land to the, I suppose that's the west or southwest, on the other side of the interior access road, perhaps this is also a question for Mr. Sears, I'm not sure, about the reasoning for perhaps moving it closer to North Market Street and putting it on the southeast corner of that parcel that's labeled C1 on the map right now. Was there any discussion about that being a possibility? I know that they don't want to replat the properties because of that road going through. Was there any discussion of a relocation that puts it further from the residential area and gets it, you know, further away from, that might alleviate some of their concerns?
I'll take part of it, and then Shane, I'll take the second part of it. When Verizon discussed this with Shane Sears, this northeast parcel that it's on right now, the reason we tucked it on the southwest corner is the tower structurally is 160 feet. I'm looking at my engineering measurements, and directly to the east, to the property line to the east, to the closest residential property there, it says Terry Glenn McCormick, is 155 feet. So even if the tower did not fold in half, which we are saying it would, even if it did, it just completely laid down, it would be right at the distance of the neighbor. But that parcel, and Shane, you can back me up on this, or you can give me your information. That parcel's is, although it's residential, the house burnt down on it in 2015, and they're using it for the storage of construction materials. So all it is some parking structures there. So the next true residential structure from where we are proposing this is 285 feet away. So 50-foot tower from the 285 feet, that's a 125-foot buffer if it didn't even fold in half. If it did fold in half, it would be 285 feet minus 80 feet. It'd be a 205-foot buffer. So again, we weren't trying to be disingenuous. We were trying to be good neighbors, and we didn't want to stick it on that southeast corner of the parcel. We didn't want to put it up against that property.
No, I'm talking about the parcel closer to North Market.
Correct. And Shane, when we discussed it with him, of the 4 parcels, this is the one that we had identified. Even if we did put it on this parcel, we would still have the same exact issue. It would actually be closer to North Market, more of a visibility. It's less visible over here from the street and passerby traffic, but it would have to be stuck in the center of the parcel to meet the setbacks. We would be here for the same exact reasons. I'd still need my first variance for the 160, which the staff recommended. And then he owns all 4 of these parcels. So technically the tower would only fall on his land. So Shane, do you want to speak to why you wouldn't allow us to use that one parcel in that the northwest parcel, the one that's labeled on the map C1?
Yes, sir, because that C1 labeled parcel is the one with the most road frontage and so most desirable to develop. And we did not want the tower on that parcel. We felt if it was on the parcel that we're asking for, that it'd be less visible from the roadway and it would service all the needs that were requested.
Okay.
That answer
it does. I mean, and I don't think you're being disingenuous, Mr. Martin. I just hope you appreciate that we have to also assume that at some point there may be another house built on that place, on that pad or somewhere on that property that we have to take into account and protect their property rights as well. And
absolutely. And I understand that. And I appreciate you saying that. And even if they did build a house there, if the tower did fall the full length, it would 7 feet would be between 3 and 7 feet. It'd be right at that property line. However, it's not 160 feet. It's an 80-foot fall radius. So it would go nowhere near their property line if it collapsed. And that's what that circle with the blue arrows indicated. So if there's any questions at all, I just want to make sure any board members, I'll answer your questions. If there's any questions that this tower is going to fall on that it had the potential to fall on any other parcel, it wouldn't, because that's what the report said. And it's from the center of the location and that map A1. Jake, can you pull that map A1 back, please?
Mr. Chair,
I just want everybody to look at this.
I think you've gotten beyond rebuttal.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, sir.
I don't know where we are in this process, but
Mr. Clark, he's responding to my questions. He's not rebutting.
Okay. I think he's gone beyond responding to your questions now.
I was addressing his fall zone letter, and this is the map here where we put it. We put it in the southwest. If I moved it over there to where it says, you see the lease area, and then if you go a little bit to the left, it says the in road to existing drive.
Yes.
If I put it quote unquote there, that circle still, it's going to overlap the subject parcel as well as the existing building. There's no location we could put it that we wouldn't need this variance for the setbacks.
Right. I'm just trying to make it more of a burden on the applicant than on the neighbor. That's where I'm going with this. you know, is he willing to have more skin in the game if that's possible?
Right.
I understand everything you said.
Okay. My last comment, and then I'll be quiet, will be this. Is that radius map that you're staring at? Right. That's the fall zone for the tower.
I understand.
Thank you, sir.
I had another question and it's gone. Thank you.
All right, thanks, sir.
It was for Ms. Matz, I believe. Is she still on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Ms. Matz, have you ever done and forgive me, I don't have the word in front of me. What's the propagation study?
So I rely upon the RF engineer, the radio frequency engineer, in order to provide those to me.
Right. So have you ever had one come back that a lower 100-foot tower would work when one taller was asked for?
No, generally speaking, the higher the tower, the better the service, because it can clear more of the surrounding location area.
Absolutely, it's better, but will it work is the question I'm asking. Have you had one come back and say, yes, this will work? I mean, obviously a 300-foot tower would be better, but,
correct.
But, you know, I guess I'm asking for in the future, are we always going to run into a case where we're always going to get a propagation map that always says, yes, it needs to be 180 feet or 160 feet?
So,
or is this just a formality that we're jumping through having you here, and we're always going to be told, oh yeah, this isn't going to work unless it's what we're asking for?
So I did look for a significant increase in overall coverage. It certainly wasn't a matter of spotty coverage. They did show that overall the coverage is greatly enhanced. It's not a matter of a couple of feet here and there. It was shown over an entire symmetrical span.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else from any board member? Okay, Mr. Moss, could you restate your motion, please, sir?
Stated earlier that we need to continue this because of the continuance, because the engineer is not here, and I know he can answer some questions that we might have and some others might have.
Okay, do I hear a second?
My second stands.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Moss, second by Mr. Berry. Let's vote.
Ryland Berry,
Yes.
Cynthia Pearson,
Yes.
Fred Moss,
Yes.
Marshall Farrell,
Yes.
Brittany Dunn,
Yes.
Huey Horn,
Yes.
Derwin Hendricks,
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no's.
Okay, next case number 20-7-BAC, Kevin Bryan.
Mr. Chair, this case will be presented to you by planner Ben Mahler.
Thank you, sir.
Hello again, everybody. This is again case 20-7-BAC. The applicant is Kevin Bryan, architect, and it's for the Summer Grove Elementary School there on 2955 Burt Coons Industrial Loop. The applicant is requesting a variance to sign height for a monument sign in a single family residential zone. So the variance they are requesting for, they're requesting the maximum sign height for monument site in the district is 6 feet. They're asking for an additional 1 foot 11 inch increase, so the total sign height would be 7 feet 11 inches. As you can see on the screen right now, this is the street view of the currently existing sign. They currently have a pole sign in the area which is non-conforming and no longer allowed with the 2017 UDC implementation. With the monument sign, the applicant has stated that part of the reason why they are asking for this variance is if you do look on the Google map right now on the screen, you'll see that there is a slight increase in the hill. And because of this incline, it makes it harder for traffic ongoing and incoming to see the sign from a distance. They have stated though that should they be granted this variance, the sign would be meeting that 6 foot maximum if it did not have that incline. Where it's built into the hill, would result in a compliant sign. Part of our reasoning with this and kind of the way we looked into it was you would be removing the existing sign, which is a pole sign, so it's non-conforming, and replacing it with a sign that would fit a little better into the area. It fit into the incline of the hill a little better than the existing sign. I spoke with a few people on the phone who did call in when we did send out letters asking about, whether the electronic sign would be too bright for the area. It was found that, they did state it would be following the UDC guidelines and it would be following everything in that aspect. Other than that, there's really nothing else that kind of comes into play here. And I'm happy to answer any questions at all that anyone might have regarding this. And as well as my recommendation to be that we are approving this sign.
All right, thank you, Mr. Moeller. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, is there anyone speaking for case number 20-7-BAC or any letters submitted?
There are no letters submitted in reference to this case, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, sir.
The applicant is on the call.
Okay.
Does not want to speak.
Okay, you said does not?
That is my understanding.
Okay. Is there anyone speaking against case number 20-7-BAC?
No opposition at this time.
This is Kevin Bryan. I was actually wanting to speak for. I am the applicant, and I may have misunderstood what was said just a few minutes ago.
Okay, sir, go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
I'm the applicant, and I simply wanted to state that I'm here to answer any questions, and of course, I'm in support of it. And so that's simply all I wanted to say.
Okay. Any questions from the board at this time? Okay, what do I hear?
Move to approve.
A second.
It's been moved by Ms. Pearson, second by Mr. Moss. Let us vote.
Alan Berry.
Yes.
Cynthia Pearson.
Yes.
Fred Moss.
Yes.
Marshall Farrell.
Yes.
Brittany Dunn.
Yes.
Huey Horn.
Yes.
Durwood Hendricks.
Yes.
Have 7 yes, 0 no's.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, brings us to the end of our public hearing. Do we have any old business? All right, any committee chair reports? All right, any new business? Mr. Director, you have anything you'd like for us today?
Just a couple of small, short comments, Mr. Chair. We again would like to thank and support the appointment of Mr. Huey Horn. He's the newest CBA appointee by the Parish of Caddo. He was appointed at their last meeting this past Thursday. And because of his zealousness to be a part of this board, he's on the call today and he was ready to go to work, and we were more than happy to extend all of the opportunities to him. He's gone through a brief orientation process, and he's worked very closely with the technicians to get properly set up for this meeting. And we just like to extend congratulations to him for being appointed and welcome him to such a fine group of individuals and citizens of the city of Shreveport and the parish of Caddo.
Welcome aboard, Mr. Henry P.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yes, sir. All righty.
Second thing is that by the time we have another ZBA meeting, the proclamation will have expired. We possibly will meet at Government Plaza. We will advise you. A lot of this will depend on how the COVID-19 continues to either decline or peak, spike upwardly. We're very hopefully and very prayerfully that we'll start to spike downwardly and that we will be able to come back to Government Plaza. But we will let you know. We will have a meeting though. We have adequate cases to have a meeting for August of 2020.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay.
That end your report?
That ends my report. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, any board member comments at this time?
Just want to clarify, are we giving the applicants now 3 minutes and not 10 to speak?
We've done that throughout this process.
Say again?
We've done that throughout the process, and we found that that was the what was in the bylaws, if I'm not mistaken.
For the applicant, the initial speaker.
For the applicant and the rebuttal.
Okay.
We will look more in detail, Mr. Berry, just to verify that.
I just missed it. We always gave the initial speaker on each side 10 minutes, and then the rebuttal was 3, and every additional speaker was 3. I missed that.
Right. Actually, yeah, it used to be, but when I look at the remarking procedures now, it says 3 minutes for everyone now. So I don't know where it changed, but it used to be 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm about to say it was 10 minutes because I was like, nah, we're getting a little short time there.
Yeah, so we would take a look at it and make sure, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I didn't feel like Mr. Martin had enough time to get through his presentation for what we were discussing.
I understand. If that's the case, he will have more than enough time in the next meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other comments from the board members? Okay. Once again, Mr. Horn, I want to welcome you aboard. We are a fine group of people. I second that motion. And Ms. Dunn, I want to give her congratulations to Ms. Dunn. She is the new CPA in Shreveport.
Yeah, we're new CPA in Shreveport.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
We know you're going to do us proud.
Thank you.
All right. Nothing else from the board. We are adjourned.
Y'all stay safe.
All right. Stay safe.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.